what are the best tests for fatty liver? Um, Trying to figure out if son's weight or lack of weight loss in liver, um, or estrogen. We have been keto-ish 3 years. Uh, so weight, is it based on weight in hips, thighs, and buttocks? It's very, very hard. This is a problem to detect fatty liver. It's really not super correlated with what you see when you look in the mirror in terms of where you're depositing body fat, because it's inside the liver, and we can have fat build up in the liver even in thinner people. So you said you got your blood drawn. You probably
Yeah,
looked
so
at your,
yeah, like a liver enzyme panel, right, with
yeah,
SGPT, SGOT, GGT, that's going to show your liver enzymes. And with a fatty liver, you're going to see those enzymes elevated significantly.
yeah. So typically that's the best clinical test. It's still not super accurate, but that gives a pretty good clinical indication at level of different liver enzymes. So next time you go to your doctor, request them to do a metabolic panel to look at liver enzymes, and then clinically we'll do ultrasound or even an MRI. But
Yeah,
liver
even
enzymes,
even even though it may not be totally diagnostic in that sense, the fact that we're seeing that stress in the liver, it's just a continuum, right? Like, where are you in that process? And if you're starting to see elevated enzymes, you're dealing with some liver stress at that point. Where it ultimately culminates, it's going to depend on the person, but our liver is our major detoxifying organ. And if you're driving inflammation in that area there, you're potentially going to compromise. You're going to potentially be driving inflammation throughout the entire body, creating that oxidative stress. You're aging faster than you should. Oxidation is like metal that's rusting, right? That's oxidizing metal. And we don't want to be oxidizing at the cell level. You don't want to be aging faster at the cell level. And the liver plays a major role in that, especially with that fructose, right? Because that's going to be the big strain on the liver.
yeah, and just to clarify for the listeners, so fructose, which is glucose's partner, so ordinary sugar, sucrose is glucose, which is used for cellular energy, joined to fructose. Fructose is taken up almost immediately by the liver. Fructose is not used throughout the body for energy. The liver actually takes it out to circulation, just like the liver detoxifies alcohol out the blood. It takes fructose out of the blood and converts it into fat in the liver. That fat can get stuck in the liver and cause fatty liver, or it can be exported back around the body as lipids, as fat. And that's where we get connections to fatty liver if it gets stuck there, or if it gets repackaged out, you get dyslipidemia and cardiovascular risk.
Cardiovascular disease, right? And I think the distinction has to be made again, what you touched on earlier, Doc, which is people will hear fructose and they're going to automatically think then that means that my apple or my banana are not going to be good for me. But again, it's completely different in terms of how the body processes that, the impact that it has on inflammation in the body, the impact that it has on your liver. You're talking night and day. You're talking health versus disease, in my experience.
Yeah, and that's metabolic. That's
Yeah.
because when you eat an apple, there's not a lot of fructose, or certainly not as much as in a glass of apple juice, where you might have fructose from 3 apples,
Right.
and you're eating it slowly. Generally, there's fiber. The fiber slows the release of it. It's all to do with how fast that fructose comes in, and there's rate limiting metabolism. And if you overwhelm that with a rapid influx of fructose, like you would get from a juice or a high sugar treat, you overwhelm those capacities, and that's when you get the effects on the liver happening.
Yeah, well, I have a type 1 grandson, type 1 diabetic grandson. He's only 6 years old. He's been type 1 diabetic since the age of 3. And if his numbers drop too low, right, his parents are not giving him an apple to consume, right? It's going to be that juice to get that up real quick in an emergency situation. But the
Yep.
problem is when you're consuming those things with regularity, they create that situation. They're creating that type of problem.